The top 1,000 vocabulary words have been carefully chosen to represent difficult but common words that appear in everyday academic and business writing. These words are also the most likely to appear on the SAT, ACT, GRE, and ToEFL. Abase, to lower in rank, prestige, or esteem. To humiliate. Abet, to encourage, support, or help, usually in wrongdoing. Abeyance, temporary suspension or inactivity. Abjure, to renounce or reject solemnly. Abstemious, moderate or sparing, especially in eating or drinking. Abut, to border on. To touch or lean upon. Abysmal, extremely bad. Very deep. Exceed, to agree or consent. To assume a position like a throne. Accentuate, to emphasize or highlight. Accolade, an award, honor, or praise. Accord, agreement or harmony. To grant or give. Acme, the highest point. Peak. Acquiesce, to accept or comply passively. Acrimony, bitterness or harshness of speech, behavior, or disposition. Actuate, to motivate or put into motion. Adage, a traditional saying expressing a general truth. Adjure, to urge or command solemnly. Admonish, to warn, scold, or advise gently. Adulation, excessive praise or flattery. Adulterate, to make impure by adding inferior substances. Adventitious, accidental, not inherent or essential. Adverse, unfavorable or harmful. Advert, to refer to or mention. Advocate, to support or speak in favor of. Affable, friendly, approachable, or easy to talk to. Affect, to influence. As a noun in psychology, emotion or feeling. Afflict, to cause pain or suffering. Aggrieve, to wrong or mistreat. To distress. Aid, an assistant or helper. Alacrity, promptness, cheerful readiness. Alcove, a small recess or nook in a room. Allay, to calm, lessen, or relieve. Allege, to assert without proof. Amalgamate, to combine or unite. Ambrosia, something extremely pleasing to taste or smell. In mythology, food of the gods. Amenable, willing to cooperate. Responsive to advice. Amicable, friendly and peaceable. Animus, hostility or ill feeling. Anodyne, something that soothes or relieves pain. Anthropomorphic, attributing human traits to non-human entities. Aphorism, a concise statement expressing a truth. Apocryphal, of doubtful authenticity. False. Apologist, a person who defends a belief or cause. Apostate, one who abandons a religious or political belief. Apotheosis, elevation to divine status. The highest point. Apparent, clear, obvious, or visible. Appeal, a request for help or a legal challenge. Attractiveness. Appease, to calm, pacify, or satisfy. Append, to add something. Appoint, to assign a job or role. Apposite, highly relevant or appropriate. Approach, a method or way. To come near. Appurtenance, an accessory or supplementary item. Apropos, relevant or fitting. Apt, appropriate or suitable. Quick to learn. Aquiline, curved like an eagle's beak. Prominent nose. Arbitrary, based on personal whim rather than reason. Arbitrate, to judge or settle a dispute. Archetype, the original model or typical example. Aria, a solo melody in an opera. Armada, a large fleet of ships. Arrogate, to claim or take without right. Ascendancy, dominant influence or controlling power. Ascertain, to find out or determine. Askance, with suspicion or disapproval. Asperity, harshness or severity in tone or manner. Aspersion, a damaging remark. Slander. Assail, to attack physically or verbally. Assay, to examine, test, or analyze. Assent, agreement or approval. Assert, to state firmly or confidently. Assiduous, diligent, persistent, careful. Astringent, harsh or severe. Causing contraction. Asunder, into pieces. Apart. Atavism, a return of ancestral traits. Attitude, a settled way of thinking or feeling. Attribute, a quality or characteristic. To ascribe. Audacious, bold, daring, or fearless. Augury, a sign or omen of the future. August, impressive, majestic, inspiring respect. Auspices, guidance, support, or sponsorship. Austere, severe, strict, or simple in style. Automate, to make a process operate automatically. Avarice, extreme greed for wealth. Aversion, a strong dislike or opposition. Avocation, a hobby or minor occupation. Axiom, a self-evident truth or principle. Badinage, light, playful banter. Baleful, threatening, harmful, or menacing. Banal, boringly ordinary. Trite. Here's a clear and concise meaning for each of the words you listed, broken into manageable sections. B. Bandy, to toss back and forth. To exchange words casually. Bane, a cause of harm or ruin. Banter, playful, teasing conversation. Bait, to lessen or reduce. To restrain. Bauble, a small, showy trinket or ornament. Beatific, blissfully happy. Serene. Beguile, to charm or deceive. Beleaguer, to surround with difficulties. To harass. Belie, to contradict or give a false impression. Bemuse, to confuse or bewilder. Bemused, puzzled, lost in thought. Benighted, in a state of ignorance or moral darkness. Bent, a natural talent or inclination. Determined. Bequeath, to leave property or legacy by will. Beseech, to beg or plead earnestly. Besiege, to surround with armed forces. To overwhelm. Bestow, to give as a gift or honor. Betoken, to signify or indicate. Betrothed, engaged to be married. Bilious, bad-tempered. Related to bile. Blanch, to whiten. To make pale. Bland, dull or uninteresting. Mild in manner. Blatant, obvious in an offensive or conspicuous way. Blighted, damaged, spoiled, or destroyed. Bluster, to speak loudly or aggressively. Noisy swagger. Boast, to speak with pride about oneself. Bolt, to move suddenly. A metal fastener. To secure. Bouillon, broth made by boiling meat or vegetables. Brawn, muscular strength. Brooch, a decorative pin worn on clothing. Brook, to tolerate or allow. A small stream. Bucolic, relating to the countryside or pastoral life. Bullion, gold or silver in bulk form, usually bars. Bulwark, a defensive wall or protection. Burgeon, to grow or flourish rapidly. Burnish, to polish to a shine. Buxom, plump, healthy, and attractive, usually describing a woman. Cabal, a secret group plotting something. C. Cadaverous, pale, thin, or resembling a corpse. Cajole, to persuade by flattery or gentle urging. Callous, emotionally hardened. Unfeeling. Cameo, a small, engraved ornament. A brief, striking appearance, often by a celebrity. Campaign, organized series of actions toward a goal. Candid, frank, honest, or impartial. Canon, a rule, principle, or recognized body of works. Cant, insincere or hypocritical talk. Jargon of a group. Canto, a section or division of a long poem. Capitulate, to surrender or give in. Caprice, a sudden, unmotivated change in mood or behavior. Capricious, impulsive, unpredictable. Captious, tending to find fault or raise petty objections. Cardinal, of primary importance. Careen, to lean or tip dangerously. To lurch. Carrion, decaying flesh of dead animals. Categorical, absolute, without exceptions. Caucus, a private meeting of members of a group or party. Cavalier, showing disregard or haughty. Knightly. Cede, to give up or surrender territory or rights. Chaff, worthless matter. Husks separated from grain. Chagrin, embarrassment or distress caused by failure. Chamber, a room or private space. Chary, cautious or hesitant. Chastise, to punish or scold severely. Checkered, marked by varied experiences. Having squares of different colors. Chide, to scold or rebuke. Choleric, easily angered. Irritable. Circumspect, careful, cautious, considering all consequences. Circumstances, conditions or facts affecting a situation. Circumvent, to get around, bypass, or evade. Cite, to quote or refer to. To commend officially. Clad, dressed or covered. Clandestine, secret, often for illicit purposes. Clarion, loud and clear. A trumpet with a clear tone. Cleave, to split or stick firmly. Coast, to move without effort. To proceed smoothly. Coax, to persuade gently or with flattery. Codicil, an addition or amendment to a will. Cogent, clear, logical, and convincing. Cognate, related by origin. Similar in function or nature. Cohere, to stick together or be logically connected. Cohort, a group of people with a shared characteristic. A companion. Coiffure, a hairstyle. Collation, a light meal or the act of arranging in order. Commiserate, to express sympathy or pity. Commission, authorization to perform a duty. A fee for services. Commit, to pledge or perform an action. Compel, to force or drive. Comport, to behave, to be in agreement. Comprehensive, thorough, complete, covering all aspects. Conceit, excessive pride. An elaborate metaphor. Concept, an abstract idea or general notion. Concern, a matter of interest or worry. To effect. Concomitant, accompanying or following as a consequence. Conduct, behavior or the act of leading, performing. Confer, to grant or discuss. Confluence, a coming together, especially of rivers or ideas. Congeal, to solidify, thicken, or coagulate. Conjugal, relating to marriage. Conjure, to summon or bring to mind. To practice magic. Connotation, implied or suggested meaning beyond literal. Conscientious, careful, diligent, and thorough. Consecrate, to make sacred or dedicate formally. Conservatory, a school for music, art, or a greenhouse. Consider, to think carefully about. Conspicuous, easily seen, attracting attention. Constant, unchanging, faithful. Constituency, a body of voters represented by an elected official. Constitute, to form or make up. Constrained, restricted, limited, or unnatural. Construe, to interpret or explain the meaning. Contempt, scorn or disdain. Contend, to struggle or compete. To assert. Contract, a formal agreement. To shrink. Contrive, to plan cleverly or invent. Contrived, artificially planned rather than natural. Contusion, a bruise. Convalesce, to recover health after illness. Convention, a gathering or accepted practice. Convince, to persuade or make certain. Corpulent, excessively fat. Countermand, to revoke or cancel an order. Court, to seek favor. A royal residence. A playing area. Cower, to crouch in fear. Coy, shy, modest, or flirtatiously reserved. Cousin, to deceive or cheat. Crabbed, ill-tempered, difficult to read, or obscure. Craven, cowardly. Credence, belief, trust, or acceptance. Credible, believable or trustworthy. Credo, a statement of beliefs or principles. Crevice, a narrow crack or opening. Crew, a group of workers or sailors. Crone, an old, often unpleasant woman. Cryptic, mysterious, obscure, or hidden. Cupidity, greed, especially for wealth. Dais, a raised platform for speakers or honored guests. Dapper, neat, stylish, and well-groomed. Dearth, scarcity or lack. Debacle, a sudden disaster or failure. Debase, to lower in value, quality, or dignity. Here's the list of your requested words with clear meanings, broken into manageable sections for clarity. D. Decadence, moral or cultural decline. Excessive self-indulgence. Declivity, a downward slope. Decorum, proper behavior or etiquette. Decree, an official order or decision. Deduce, to infer or derive from evidence. Deference, respectful submission or yielding to another. Defray, to provide money to pay a cost. Deign, to lower oneself to do something considered beneath dignity. Delicacy, a rare or expensive food. Fineness or subtlety. Delve, to investigate deeply. To dig. Demonstrable, able to be proven or shown clearly. Demoralize, to weaken confidence or morale. Denouement, the conclusion or resolution of a story. Dense, closely packed, hard to understand. Depose, to remove from office or testify under oath. Deprave, to corrupt morally. Depredation, plundering, robbery, or destructive action. Derelict, abandoned. Neglectful of duty. Derived, obtained or developed from something else. Descry, to catch sight of something. Despair, complete loss of hope. Despoil, to strip of possessions or loot. Device, a tool, invention, or plan. Devolve, to transfer power or responsibility downward. Diadem, a crown or royal headband. Dictum, a formal or authoritative statement. Didactic, intended to teach or instruct. Diffidence, lack of self-confidence. Shyness. Diffident, shy, hesitant, or lacking confidence. Dilettante, a person who dabbles in an art or subject without serious study. Dingy, dull, grimy, or shabby. Dint, force, effort, or power. A dent or impression. Disaffected, dissatisfied, rebellious, or estranged. Disapprobation, disapproval or condemnation. Disconcert, to confuse or disturb. Disconsolate, hopelessly sad, unable to be comforted. Discreet, careful, prudent, or tactful. Discretionary, left to one's own judgment. Discriminating, showing good judgment or discernment. Discursive, rambling, moving from topic to topic. Disembark, to leave a ship, plane, or vehicle. Disgorge, to pour out or release forcefully. Dispassionate, impartial. Calm, not influenced by emotion. Dispatch, to send off. Promptness, message sent. Disport, to amuse or entertain oneself. Disposition, temperament or inclination. Arrangement. Disquisition, a formal, detailed discussion or essay. Dissemble, to conceal true feelings or intentions. Dissimulate, to hide or disguise. Distend, to swell or expand. Distinction, a difference or excellence. Diversified, varied or having many different aspects. Divulge, to reveal or make known. Docile, easily taught or managed. Obedient. Dogged, persistent, determined, stubborn. Doggerel, trivial, poorly written verse. Dormer, a window projecting from a sloping roof. Dotage, senility or foolish affection in old age. Dote, to show excessive fondness. Dregs, the least desirable part. Sediment. Dulcet, sweet-sounding, pleasant to the ear. Dutiful, obedient or respectful. Dwell, to live in a place. To linger on a thought. Dyspeptic, gloomy, irritable, or suffering from indigestion. Earnest, serious, sincere, and intense. Ebb, to recede or decline. Edict, an official proclamation or order. Edifice, a large, imposing building. Effervescence, bubbling or lively enthusiasm. Effete, worn out, exhausted, or ineffective. Effluvium, a harmful or unpleasant odor or discharge. Effulgence, radiant splendor or brilliance. Egregious, outstandingly bad or shocking. Elaborate, detailed, complex, or carefully planned. Ellipsis, the omission of words. In writing. Elude, to escape or evade. Elysian, blissful, delightful, heavenly. Emblazon, to decorate or display conspicuously. Emboss, to raise or carve a design on a surface. Embroil, to involve in conflict or confusion. Amend, to correct or revise text. Emetic, causing vomiting. Emolument, payment or profit from employment. Enamor, to inspire love or admiration. Enclave, a distinct enclosed area or community. Encroachment, gradual intrusion or trespass. Encumber, to burden or hinder. Endemic, native or restricted to a particular region. Endow, to provide with a talent, quality, or funds. Endue, to provide with a quality or ability. Enduring, lasting, persistent. Enervate, to weaken or drain energy. Engage, to participate. To attract, to hire. Enigma, a mystery or puzzling situation. Enjoin, to command or urge. Enrapture, to delight intensely. Ensconce, to settle securely or comfortably. Ensue, to follow as a result. Entertain, to amuse. To consider or hold in mind. Entomology, the study of insects. Entreat, to beg or plead. Equable, calm, steady, unvarying. Erode, to wear away gradually. Errant, wandering, deviating from proper course. Erstwhile, former, in the past. Eschew, to avoid deliberately. Espouse, to support or adopt a cause. Establish, to set up or found. To prove. Esteem, respect or admiration. Estrange, to alienate or separate. Eugenic, related to improving hereditary qualities. Euphony, pleasant, harmonious sound. Evanescent, fleeting, vanishing quickly. Evident, clearly seen or understood. Exalt, to raise in rank, power, or character. Exasperate, to irritate intensely. Excise, to remove or cut out. Execrable, extremely bad or detestable. Execrate, to curse or denounce. Exegesis, a critical explanation or interpretation, usually of a text. Here's a clear and organized meaning list for the words you provided. Exert, to apply or put forth effort, influence, or power. Exertion, physical or mental effort. Exigency, an urgent need or demand. Exorbitant, excessive or unreasonably high. Expatiate, to speak or write in detail. To elaborate. Expiate, to atone for or make amends for. Explicate, to explain or interpret in detail. Exploit, a notable or heroic act. To make use of selfishly. Exploitation, the act of using something or someone unfairly. Expostulation, earnest protest or objection. Extenuate, to lessen the seriousness of. To excuse. Extol, to praise enthusiastically. Extort, to obtain by force or threats. Extravagant, excessive, wasteful, or lavish. Facile, easily done. Superficial or effortless. Faction, a group within a larger group, often contentious. Factious, inclined to cause disagreement or conflict. Factitious, artificially created or contrived. Fad, a short-lived trend or fashion. Fallow, inactive or unproductive, land left unplowed. Fancy, imagination. A liking or desire. Decorative or elaborate. Fanfare, a display of celebration or publicity. A short ceremonial trumpet flourish. Fare, food. The cost of travel. How one manages or succeeds. Fathom, to understand or measure depth. Fatuous, foolish or silly. Fawning, excessively flattering or servile. Felicitous, well chosen, appropriate, or pleasing. Fervent, passionate or intense. Fiasco, a complete failure. Filch, to steal secretly or sneakily. Financial, relating to money or finances. Firebrand, a person who stirs up trouble or incites action. Fissure, a narrow crack or split. Fitful, intermittent or irregular. Flag, to weaken, droop, or decline in energy. Flail, to thrash or wave about violently. Flair, a natural talent or distinctive style. Flay, to whip, strip off skin, or criticize severely. Flotilla, a fleet of small ships. Flourish, to thrive or grow vigorously. A dramatic gesture. Foil, to prevent success. A contrasting figure in literature. Foist, to impose fraudulently or pass off. Foolhardy, recklessly bold. Ford, a shallow place in a river suitable for crossing. Forebear, an ancestor. Foreboding, a sense of impending trouble. Formal, following established rules or conventions. Forsake, to abandon or give up. Fortitude, courage in facing difficulties. Foster, to encourage or nurture growth or development. Fracas, a noisy quarrel or brawl. Fractious, irritable or quarrelsome. Fraught, filled with, accompanied by, often negative. Fray, a fight or conflict. To wear out. Fresco, painting on wet plaster. Frieze, a decorative horizontal band on a wall. Frontier, the edge of settled land. Boundary. Fructify, to make productive or fruitful. Frustrate, to prevent from achieving a goal. Fulminate, to denounce or explode with anger. Functionary, an official or office holder. Furnish, to provide or supply. Gadfly, a person who provokes or annoys others to stimulate action. Gainsay, to deny or contradict. Gale, a strong wind. A burst of emotion or laughter. Garble, to distort or confuse information. Garish, excessively bright or flashy. Gaunt, extremely thin and bony. Gawk, to stare foolishly or openly. Generate, to produce or create. Genesis, the origin or beginning of something. Gentility, refinement, politeness, or social superiority. Gentry, people of high social class. Gestate, to develop or conceive, as in an idea or pregnancy. Jibe, a mocking remark or taunt. Gird, to prepare oneself for action. Gist, the main point or essence. Glib, fluent but insincere or shallow. Glower, to scowl or look angrily. Gouge, to dig or force out. To overcharge. Granary, a storehouse for grain. Grandiloquent, pompous or extravagant in speech. Grant, to give formally. A gift or allowance. Grapple, to struggle or wrestle. To confront. Gratis, free of charge. Gravity, seriousness. The force of attraction. Gripe, to complain. A minor complaint. Grisly, gruesome or horrifying. Grove, a small group of trees. Grovel, to act submissively out of fear or humility. Grudging, unwilling, reluctant, or resentful. Gruel, thin porridge or food. Gusto, enjoyment or enthusiasm. Gusty, characterized by strong bursts of wind. Hackneyed, overused, trite, or unoriginal. Haggle, to bargain persistently. Halcyon, calm, peaceful, or prosperous. Hale, healthy and strong. Halting, hesitant or faltering. Harrowing, extremely distressing or painful. Harry, to harass or attack repeatedly. Headlong, with great speed or recklessness. Heed, to pay attention to. Herculean, requiring great strength or effort. Hermitage, a secluded dwelling or place of retreat. Hew, to cut or shape with a tool. To adhere closely. Heyday, the peak or prime of success. Hireling, a person hired to work, often for pay without loyalty. Hoary, gray or white with age. Ancient, homespun, simple, plain, or unsophisticated. Homily, a moralizing lecture or sermon. Hoodwink, to deceive or trick. Horde, a large group or crowd. Hubbub, a noisy confusion or uproar. Humble, modest, low in rank or importance. Humiliate, to shame or embarrass. Hummock, a small hill or mound. Hurdle, to move rapidly and forcefully. Husbandry, careful management of resources, especially farming. Iconoclast, a person who challenges or destroys established beliefs. Ideology, a system of ideas or beliefs. Idiosyncrasy, a peculiar habit or characteristic. Ignominious, deserving of disgrace or shame. Ignominy, public shame or disgrace. Illustrious, highly distinguished or renowned. Imbibe, to drink, to absorb ideas or knowledge. Immure, to confine or imprison. Immutable, unchanging or permanent. Impart, to give or convey information, knowledge, or qualities. Impel, to drive or urge forward. Impertinent, rude or not relevant. Imperturbable, calm and unshakable. Impetus, a driving force or stimulus. Impiety, lack of reverence for God or sacred things. Implacable, impossible to appease or satisfy. Impolitic, unwise or tactless. Importunate, persistent, demanding, or urgent. Imposed, forced upon. Established authoritatively. Imposing, impressive, grand, or intimidating. Imposition, a burden. An act of imposing. Impostor, deception. Pretending to be someone else. Improvident, lacking foresight. Careless with resources. Incandescent, glowing with heat. Brilliant or passionate. Incidental, secondary or minor. Occurring by chance. Incipient, beginning to exist or develop. Incisive, sharp, clear, and direct. Inclement, harsh or severe weather. Inclined, having a tendency or preference. Inclusive, including everything or everyone. Incongruity, lack of harmony or appropriateness. Inconsequential, unimportant, trivial. Incorrigible, incapable of being reformed. Inculcate, to teach persistently or instill by repetition. Indemnify, to compensate for loss or damage. Indication, a sign or piece of evidence. Indict, to write or compose. Infallible, incapable of error. Infest, to overrun or occupy in large numbers. Inflammatory, causing anger or excitement. Arousing strong emotion. Ingrained, firmly fixed. Deeply rooted. Here are concise, clear meanings for each word on your latest list. Vocabulary meanings, Set 6. Ingratiate, to gain favor by deliberate effort. Inimical, hostile. Harmful. Inimitable, unique. Impossible to imitate. Iniquitous, wicked. Unjust. Innate, inborn. Natural. Inscrutable, impossible to understand. Mysterious. Insensate, without feeling. Lacking sense. Insinuate, to suggest indirectly or slyly. Insist, to demand firmly. Inspire, to motivate or stimulate. Instance, an example. Case. Institute, to establish or start. Insurgent, rebel. Revolutionary. Intend, to plan. Aim. Interdict, to forbid. Prohibit. Interminable, endless. Interpolate, to insert into something. Intimate, to hint. Close, personal. Intrepid, fearless. Brave. Intrigue, to arouse curiosity. Secret plotting. Inured, accustomed to something unpleasant. Invective, harsh, insulting language. Invidious, causing envy or resentment. Invocation, a prayer or calling upon a higher power. Irksome, annoying. Tedious. Irresolute, indecisive. Issue, topic. Problem, to give out. Jet, to spurt out. A stream. Jibe, to agree. Be in harmony. Jocund, cheerful. Light-hearted. Junket, an indulgent trip or feast. Justify, to prove right or reasonable. Keen, sharp. Eager. Kindle, to start a fire. To inspire. Knack, a natural skill. Knight, to confer knighthood. A medieval warrior. Knoll, a small hill. Labor, hard work. To work. Laggard, someone who lags behind. Lancet, a small surgical knife. Languid, lacking energy. Weak. Larder, pantry. A place for storing food. Largesse, generosity. Latitude, freedom. Scope. League, association. Unit of distance. Level, even. To make even. Levity, lack of seriousness. Liberal, generous. Open-minded. Libertine, morally unrestrained person. Libretto, the text of an opera. Lineament, a distinguishing feature of the face. Livelihood, means of living. Loath, unwilling. Reluctant. Lode, a rich source of minerals, etc. Lofty, tall. Noble, elevated. Loquacious, talkative. Lout, clumsy, rude person. Luminary, a famous or enlightening person. Luxuriant, abundant. Rich growing. Machination, a plot or scheme. Madrigal, a short lyrical poem or song. Magisterial, authoritative. Commanding. Majority, more than half. Makeshift, temporary substitute. Malaise, feeling of discomfort or unease. Malcontent, a dissatisfied, rebellious person. Malevolent, harmful. Wishing evil. Malice, desire to harm. Malleable, easily shaped. Flexible. Manifest, to show. Obvious. Manifestation, a visible or clear expression. Mannered, artificial. Exaggerated manners. Manumit, to free from slavery. Maraud, to raid or plunder. Masticate, to chew. Maul, to injure by rough handling. Maxim, a general truth. Proverb. Meander, to wander aimlessly. Mendicant, beggar. Mercurial, unpredictable. Lively. Merit, worth. Value. Metal, courage. Spirit. Microcosm, a small representation of a larger whole. Mean, appearance. Manner. Mincing, overly dainty or refined. Minute, extremely small. Misanthrope, someone who hates people. Miserly, stingy. Mite, a small amount. Mode, method. Fashion. Modest, humble. Moderate. Modicum, a small amount. Monetary, related to money. Moot, debatable. Irrelevant. Morbid, relating to death. Unhealthy. Mordant, biting. Sarcastic. Moribund, dying. Near death. Mortify, to humiliate. Mote, a tiny particle. Mountebank, a charlatan. Trickster. Multitude, a large number. Mundane, ordinary. Worldly. Munificent, very generous. Muse, to ponder. Muster, to gather. Natty, neat. Stylish. Nettle, to irritate. Nexus, connection. Link. Nicety, fine detail. Subtlety. Nihilist, one who rejects all authority and beliefs. Nominal, in name only. Very small. Nonentity, a person of no importance. Nonplus, to confuse. Perplex. Nostrum, false cure. Quack remedy. Notion, idea. Belief. notwithstanding, despite, novel, new, original, nuance, slight difference, obdurate, stubborn, objective, unbiased, factual, obloquy, public disgrace, obtain, to get, obtrude, to force oneself in, obtuse, slow to understand, obviate, to eliminate, prevent, odium, intense hatred, ominous, threatening, omniscient, all-knowing, onset, beginning, attack, oppress, to keep down by unjust force, oratorio, a long musical composition, ordain, to decree, to make someone a priest, ornate, highly decorated, ostensible, apparent but not necessarily true, outskirts, the outer areas of a town, overbearing, domineering, overweening, arrogant, excessive, pacifist, one who opposes violence, pacify, to calm, palatable, pleasant to taste, acceptable, palatial, grand, palace-like, pall, to become dull, something that covers, palliate, to relieve without curing, pallid, pale, palpitate, to beat rapidly, heart, parable, a moral story, paraphernalia, equipment, belongings, parity, equality, parochial, narrow-minded, local, parry, to deflect, parsimonious, very stingy, partial, biased, incomplete, partiality, favoritism, partisan, a strong supporter, passage, a section of text, movement, passé, outdated, pastoral, relating to rural life, pathological, related to disease, patrician, aristocratic, patronize, to support, to talk down to. Here are clear, concise meanings for your latest vocabulary list. Vocabulary meanings, set 7. Pedagogue, a teacher often boring or strict. Pedantic, overly concerned with minor rules or details. Pellucid, very clear. Transparent. Penchant, strong liking or preference. Pendulous, hanging down loosely. Peon, an unskilled laborer. A low-status worker. Peremptory, commanding. Leaving no room for refusal. Perfidious, treacherous. Deceitful. Perish, to die or be destroyed. Permeate, to spread through. Penetrate. Peroration, the concluding part of a speech. Perpetrate, to commit a crime or wrongful act. Perpetual, everlasting. Continuous. Persist, to continue despite difficulty. Perspicuous, clearly expressed. Easy to understand. Pert, bold. Saucy. Lively. Pertinacious, stubbornly persistent. Pervade, to spread throughout. Petulant, irritable. Easily annoyed. Philology, study of language. Philosophical, calm. Thoughtful. Rational. Phlegmatic, unemotional. Slow-moving. Pilfer, to steal small items. Pillage, to loot or plunder. Pinion, to restrain. To bind. Pious, religious. Devout. Pique, irritation or to arouse curiosity. Pithy, concise and meaningful. Placate, to calm or soothe. Platitude, a dull, overused remark. Plead, to beg. To argue in court. Plenitude, abundance. Plumb, to measure depth. To examine closely. Plus, an advantage. Positive quantity. Podium, a platform for speakers. Poignancy, emotional sharpness. Sadness that deeply affects. Polemic, a strong verbal attack. Polemical, argumentative. Controversial. Policy, a plan of action. Polity, a form of government. Pomp, ceremonial display. Splendor, pontifical, pompous, like a high priest. Postulate, to assume, to propose. Practice, to do repeatedly. To apply. Practitioner, someone actively engaged in a profession. Prattle, to babble meaninglessly. Precept, a rule or principle. Precision, exactness. Predecessor, one who came before. Preen, to groom oneself. To show pride. Premise, a statement on which an argument is based. Preternatural, beyond the ordinary. Supernatural. Procedural, relating to process or method. Proceeding, an action or event. Legal process. Proceeds, money obtained from an event. Proclivity, a natural tendency. Prognosticate, to predict. Project V, to estimate or plan. A task. Projection, estimate. Something thrown outward. Proletarian, working class person. Promiscuous, lacking selection. Casual, often sexual. Propensity, natural inclination. Property, possession. Quality. Propitiate, to appease. Propitious, favorable. Promising. Propriety, proper behavior. Prospective, expected in the future. Provender, food. Fodder. Provoke, to incite. Anger. Prowess, great skill or courage. Proxy, a substitute. Representative. Prude, someone easily shocked by immorality. Pucker, to wrinkle. Puissant, powerful. Pummel, to beat repeatedly. Pundit, an expert. Purport, to claim or appear to be. Purse, to contract or wrinkle. A handbag. Purvey, to supply, usually food or goods. Pusillanimous, cowardly. Quaff, to drink deeply. Quagmire, a difficult or boggy situation. Quail, to lose courage. Querulous, complaining. Whining. Quip, a witty remark. Rail, to criticize harshly. Raiment, clothing. Rakish, stylish in a slightly immoral way. Ramify, to branch out. Rampart, defensive wall. Rancor, deep hatred. Range, extent. To vary. Ranging, varying. Moving over an area. Rankle, to irritate. Cause resentment. Wrapped, completely absorbed. Rarefied, elevated. Refined. Thin air. Ratify, to approve formally. Rationalism, belief in reason as the source of knowledge. Rave, to speak wildly or enthusiastically. Ravel, to tangle or untangle, context decides. Reactionary, strongly opposed to change. Readjustment, adjustment again. Rebuke, sharp criticism. Rebus, a puzzle using pictures or symbols. Recondite, obscure. Difficult to understand. Recourse, a source of help. Recovering, getting better. Redolent, fragrant. Suggestive of something. Redoubtable, formidable. Worthy of respect. Refectory, dining hall. Reflect, to think. Mirror. Refractory, stubborn. Unmanageable. Rejoinder, a reply, especially sharp. Remission, lessening of intensity. Forgiveness. Rend, to tear violently. Render, to provide. To make. To depict. Renegade, a traitor. One who deserts. Repast, a meal. Repeal, to revoke or cancel. Repine, to complain or fret. Reprise, repetition. Reprobation, strong disapproval. Resonant, echoing. Deep sounding. Resource, supply that can be used, restrained, controlled, moderate, retainer, servant, fee to reserve services, retentive, able to remember well, reticent, reserved, quiet, retinue, attendance, entourage, retiring, shy, withdrawing, retort, a sharp reply, retrench, to reduce expenses, revelry, loud partying, reverie, daydream, revulsion, intense disgust, rhetoric, persuasive or showy language, rider, extra clause added to a document, rile, to irritate, ripple, small wave, rococo, ornate, elaborately decorated, royal, to disturb, to make muddy, roseate, optimistic, rosy, rout, to defeat completely, rubric, heading, category, instructions, rudiment, basic element, ruse, a trick, salient, prominent, noticeable, sanction, approval or penalty, context decides, sat, to satisfy fully, satire, humorous criticism, saturnine, gloomy, morose, savant, a learned person, scabbard, sheath for a sword, scale, climb, range, remove in layers, scarce, rare, insufficient, scheme, plan, plot, scintilla, a tiny amount, scrupulous, very careful, ethical, scrutinize, to examine closely, sedulous, diligent, hard-working. Here are clear, concise meanings for every word in your final list. Vocabulary meanings, set 8. Seemly, proper, appropriate, seethe, to boil, to be very angry, semblance, outward appearance, sententious, moralizing in a pompous way, sentient, able to feel, conscious, sentinel, a guard, sextant, navigation instrument, sherbet, flavored frozen dessert, siege, military blockade, simper, to smile foolishly, sinecure, a job requiring little work, sinuous, winding, curving, skill, ability, skittish, nervous, easily frightened, slay, to kill, sleight, skill, especially deceitful skill, as in, sleight of hand, slew, a large number, sluice, a channel for water, to flush with water, smattering, small amount, sob, to cry heavily, sonorous, deep, rich sound, spangle, small sparkling object, spat, a small quarrel, spate, sudden outpouring or large number, specious, seemingly true but actually false, spectral, ghost-like, squalor, filth, misery, squeamish, easily disgusted, staid, serious, sober, stake, an investment, a post, staunch, to stop the flow, steep, to soak, excessive, stentorian, very loud, stilted, unnatural, stiff, stint, a period of work, to limit, stipulate, to specify a condition, stock, standard, commonly used, straight, not curved, honest, stratum, a layer, striate, to mark with stripes, stricture, criticism, restriction, stultify, to make ineffective or foolish, stump, to puzzle, to campaign, stupendous, amazing, enormous, suavity, smoothness, politeness, subaltern, subordinate, subjugate, to conquer, to enslave, sublimate, to channel impulses into socially acceptable forms, sublime, lofty, awe-inspiring, subside, to lessen, sink, substantial, large, solid, succor, help, relief, suffrage, the right to vote, sully, to dirty, defile, sultry, hot and humid, sensual, superannuated, old-fashioned, outdated, supercilious, arrogant, haughty, suppliant, one who begs humbly, surly, rude, bad-tempered, surreptitious, secret, stealthy, suspended, temporarily stopped, swerve, to change direction suddenly, sybarite, a pleasure seeker, sycophant, a flatterer, syllogism, logical argument with two premises and a conclusion, symmetry, balanced proportion, tarry, to delay, linger, tawdry, cheap and showy, teem, to be full of, temper, to moderate, to soften, temporize, to delay, to act evasively, tenable, defensible, workable, tenacious, persistent, stubborn, territory, area of land, testator, a person who makes a will, theory, an explanation of principles, thrall, bondage, slavery, threadbare, worn out, throng, a crowd, tide, rise and fall of water, trend, toil, hard work, tour, a journey, tout, to promote aggressively, tract, region, pamphlet, traduce, to slander, trappings, external decorations, tread, to walk, trenchant, sharp, forceful, tribunal, court of justice, trite, overused, stale, triumvirate, a group of three rulers, troth, loyalty, faith, turbid, muddy, unclear, tureen, a large soup bowl, turgid, swollen, pompous, tutelage, instruction, guardianship, tyro, beginner, ulterior, hidden, secret, unaffected, genuine, natural, unanimity, complete agreement, unassuming, modest, unconscionable, outrageous, unreasonable, uncouth, rude, awkward, unction, exaggerated flattery or oily quality, undertake, to begin, to promise, undertaking, a task, unexceptionable, perfect, faultless, unfaltering, steady, unwavering, ungainly, awkward, clumsy, unimpeachable, beyond doubt, blameless, unmitigated, absolute, complete, unseemly, improper, untoward, unfortunate, improper, unwanted, unusual, upbraid, to scold, upshot, outcome, urbane, polished, sophisticated, usurp, to seize power illegally, utter, complete, to speak, vacate, to leave, vagary, unpredictable action, vain, overly proud, useless, vapid, dull, tasteless, vassal, subordinate, servant, vat, large container. Venerable, respected due to age. Venerate, to respect deeply. Venial, minor. Forgivable, venture, to risk, an undertaking. Veracious, truthful. Veritable, genuine, real. Vestige, trace. Remnant, vestment, ceremonial clothing. Vex, to irritate. Vilify, to slander. Vintner, wine merchant. Virtuoso, a masterful artist. Visage, face. Appearance. Viscid, sticky. Viscous, thick, slow-flowing. Vitiate, to spoil. Weaken. Vociferous, loud and forceful. voluble, talkative, waffle, to waver, to be indecisive, wave, to give up a right or claim, wander, to roam, wanton, reckless, immoral, warble, to sing in a trilling voice, warrant, to justify, authorization, wax, to grow, increase, waylay, to ambush, weigh, to measure, consider, welt, a raised mark on the skin, wheedle, to coax, whet, to sharpen, stimulate, whittle, to carve or reduce gradually, whorl, a circular pattern, willful, stubborn, deliberate, wistful, sadly thoughtful, wizened, shriveled, wrinkled, want, accustomed, wraith, ghost, apparition, wrangle, to argue noisily, wreak, to inflict, as in, wreak havoc, wry, dryly humorous, twisted, yeoman, farmer, loyal servant, yield, to produce, to give way, zealot, fanatic, zenith, highest point, zephyr, a gentle breeze.